what was so funny about that is, you'll see it in the movie, is she's got this blank, nothing's going on. And they did like 2 or 3 takes, and I just thought that was the funniest thing in the world. What's different about this one? I mean, not that they're gonna do a lot, not that, it sounds like I'm insulting her. I'm not. What I'm saying is it's just, look out the window.
Yeah, and then look back to the class.
Okay, do that again. What did you not get? That's what, yeah, because she was so blunt. Anyway.
So it was so good the first time, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
That's right.
You couldn't top it. You also couldn't do any worse than that.
I don't know, I saw Life with
So
Jim.
Patrick, Fabiana, Gary, you have any Carl Reiner stories?
Oh, I just basically they mentioned that we played not charades, Simon Says.
Simon Says.
But what they don't mention is that he was like a master at leading Simon Says. I can't even do an imitation for you. He was just, it was amazing. And there's 20 minutes, half hour in between shots while they set it up, and he would fill those times with these games that he would basically eviscerate us. We thought we were all smart and funny, and he would kill us. And what Dean was saying is true. Dean and I were talking on the beach right in front of the house one day, and we were talking about some comedy friends of ours, and Carl comes over, as people will come over, and they'll just sort of sit and listen to your conversation, and then at the appropriate moment he joins in and he goes, Woody told me this one funny thing. And you're just killed.
And the thing about playing, because Carl Reiner is so sweet and nice, playing Simon Says with him, when he is trying to get you out, he's such a sweet, nice guy, you don't think that he's capable of doing that. So when he says, no, go stand over there, and he says, no, you didn't say Simon Says, you're out. You're like, oh, but you were so sweet, you asshole. So he's really good at Simon Says because he plays that sweet card.
Fabiana?
Yes, the nice thing that I remember, like we mentioned, all of us being so young, and him being such an icon, which I came to realize because I was just here from Italy, from New York, I didn't know. The thing that I remember is really the confidence that he gave us, or gave me, the confidence that you're good, you're talented, show me what you have, you have to be yourself. And that's something that remained with me for the rest of my career. And so the feeling on the set, paternal guidance, mentoring, and the fun, and really quite a blessing to be in Hollywood from another country and to feel so warm and protected and safe and nurtured and exposed.
Yes. Really safe. It was very safe to do anything.
No pun intended. Somewhere exposed. Yeah, okay, whatever. You were exposed more than I was.
I saw the darker side of Carl, all right, fine.
Gary, do you have any Carl Reiner stories?
Yeah, I have one Carl Reiner story. I went to the Aero Theater in Santa Monica, and I saw Carl Reiner there, and I was telling my friend Vincent, I sat in the front row, and I saw Carl after like 20 years, and I went up, and because everything started stirring, so I went up, and I came into the theater, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, Carl Reiner's here. And he looked at me, he's like, don't do that. I'm like, oh man, I thought, whoa, remember me? And he didn't remember me. And then I went and sat in the front. He's like, oh yeah, okay, I remember you that. And then I said, hey, in Man with Two Brains, how did you guys come up with Dr. Huff-Har? You guys remember that? And he said that him and Steve Martin were sitting around one day, and it just came to them out of the blue, Dr. Huff-Har. You guys remember that, right?
Now, with such an ensemble, can you talk about how he would block scenes? And it's kind of difficult with this many characters.
Sit there, you sit there, and you sit there.
Literally, I remember clearly the most blocking I remember, other than when we sat, was when after the horror scene when he takes the eyeball out of, was it your eye? And it bites the eye. It's like, you have to stand here by the door, and you have to stand here by the door. That's the most blocking I remember.
Yeah, we were sitting down for most of the movie.
Not the whole movie.
So
I just
any
remember
blocking.
when we had, this was my first time where a movie actually had rehearsal, and we would go to Paramount. We didn't shoot anything at Paramount. We shot everything on location. But they had this stage where we would go in and we would block the classroom stuff. And that was maybe an hour of us just sitting in the chairs. But I remember him after one of these sessions going, now, my son Robbie made this movie. You have to go see it. It's called Stand By Me, and it's really, but it was so funny because obviously Rob Reiner is this huge director. The movie was really huge. It was a big hit, and he was calling his son Robbie like it was like a homemade movie.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Really? Okay.
Well, you kind of just mentioned the horror scene, but I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about filming that and what that experience was like. Was it fun or was it, really tough because of all the prosthetics and everything you had to deal with?
The scene where we scare the teacher, that one, that was like 2 days, I think. It was a 2-day shoot. It was fairly painless. I mean, it really was. It just such an easy shoot, even with the prosthetic stuff. The only bad thing about making the movie was the title, because like we shoot somewhere and people go, oh, summer school, one of those movies. Like, no, I'll be doing those movies later in my career, but right now, this is actually a good one, and the script was great and everything, but it was just this like, summer school. But the horror stuff was okay with me.
This is one of my favorite stories, and I think Pat will remember this story.
Yeah, that was the best part.
We shot Rick Baker did our makeup, and so you guys all know Rick, right? And so, amazing. And so we went to his shop out in Burbank, and you walked in, and there was the werewolf from An American Werewolf in London. It was amazing. And so for me, I had a saw blade in my head, and so I had to have a full face mask done, I'm totally claustrophobic, so I was really nervous about it. Like, you're okay, and all I had was 2 straws out of my nostrils to breathe out of, but I could see a little bit out of the eyes in the mask, and all of a sudden, Pat walks in because he was next to me to make a mask, and I looked up and I go, Andy Garvey. And he's like, yeah, I am Andy Garvey, because I love Little House on the Prairie, because I'm like a total television. He's like, and we were like instant friends from that point on, because from that point on, I recited every single episode of Little House to you. Remember that one? Remember that one where Albert comes back and he's hooked on morphine? And he's like, yeah, that's my brother, and that was cream of mushroom soup he was throwing up. Oh, awesome! I loved finding out all this stuff. I was like Chris Farley with Paul McCartney. Was it really like that? That's how I was with Andy Garvey. Like, oh my God! Whoa, tell me more about Nellie. Was she really a bitch? So we've been fast friends ever since then.
Why do I hold this now?
Tell me your horror scene.
Horror? No, okay, the horror scene.
Horror.
Oh, that was cut from the film.
That was Kevin.
The horror.
The horror movie. I've been to Rick Baker's before actually for another film, so I've been through the head thing for April Fool's Day. But on the cool thing my horror bit was it was the body scene. It was a body piece used by James Woods in Videodrome. So there's right. So with the hand comes the whole right. So that you're holding a bit of memorabilia at the same time as it's a functioning, bloody mass of foam, and your intestines are hanging out, right? It was very fun. It was again, like Dean said, it was such an easy time. Carl made it so easy for all of us, and that became the way on the set. Everyone was cool.
What I loved about the horror scene is that it was Lucy Lee Flippin who played the substitute teacher, and she was on Little House on the Prairie. And I was like, Patrick, look! You know her! He's like, yes, I know her. And to this day, it's one of my favorite lines. Whose blood is that? Is that your blood? I was like, yes!
So when you see the movie, Kelly Jo Minter, when she's crying, when she's pointing her the way in the door, she's doing an impression of Laura Dern crying in Mask. Because she was in Mask, and I had a friend who was and we were busting on Laura Dern because she cried. What? And so she's trying to make her melt into a figure 8. And so watch tonight, you'll see she does this weird thing with her mouth, and that's her doing an impression of Laura Dern crying.
Fabiana.
We have any horror things? Well,
My makeup was kind of easy. It was just blue with a rope around my neck, and it was just fun to shoot. Yeah, easy fun. I don't remember. I remember having to rent the movie, the Texas, just to find out what you guys were all talking about. I did some research, and so I figured it out. But it was fun.
As far as the Rick Baker vibration, I remember being at the studio with Dean, and we had to do the whole face mask, and I can still see it in my mind. Dean pulling out a Marlboro 100. Remember that, Dean? Yeah. In between his face being completely covered up with things like, let me grab a cig, you know.
As young actors.
we were all smoking.
Fabiana, what was it like for you on set with all these guys, dealing with them every day?
We were all very well behaved.
Yeah, we were pretty.
Yeah.
I'm European. I could deal with it.
Probably the best way. Better than negative.
But I had competition. I had other girls. They're not
Right.
here today, but
Right.
nobody should, no women, you know.
Right,
so-
that's right. Yeah, no.
There's we were just talking about this. The day we shot the beach thing where we proposed to Fabiana, she takes her top off.
That
It's not
scene
in the
was
movie.
cut. Yeah, that scene was
But
cut.
that was the day, for some reason, that everybody from Paramount decided to come and visit the set. Everybody. We're shot at that beach you see in every movie, but the parking lot was just lined with executives, just all standing there like, well, I get a shot of that. Are they out yet?
I was just talking to my friends coming over here in the car about that scene that was cut, and
Yeah.
I was very worried about doing it, but it was all very innocent and fun. But I was very young, and yes, we were on the water, and I had to take the top. It was cold.
Yeah, it's
remember?
very
It was
cold.
very cold.
Yeah, I have one of my finest improv lines, I think, that they didn't
Was it?
use.
Yeah,
I
they
said,
didn't keep it.
my penis is this big. Carl liked it, but we couldn't use it.
And you both proposed to me, right?
Yeah, we both proposed. Yeah, we proposed. Oh, yeah, it's not in the movie. We proposed marriage to her.
It was very cutesy. I
She
wonder.
she takes her top off and runs into the water, and Dave and I ran into the water after her, and we proposed marriage to her.
I had a very nerve-wracking love scene myself that did not make it into the movie. We spent one full morning shooting where I kissed my grandmother goodbye. And Carl wanted to make it. I'll never forget, it was Lillian Adams, and she played my grandmother in the movie. She was on Little House too, I think. That's right. So you think that? So Carl wanted to have the feeling of what it's like to be embarrassed when your parent kisses you goodbye. So the way we shot it was I had to kiss her on the mouth. And a camera went around us the whole time, so it was all. It didn't make it into the movie though, I guess.
She was in a lot of Carl Reiner movies.
Yeah, she was in a
That
lot
lady's
of-
in every Carl Reiner movie, you know. She was in The Jerk, remember? And Steve Martin had Bernadette Peters was putting the mask on, and she pulls. She's like, "This shit really works." They kiss each other, and she's like, "No, Harmon," or whatever. Remember her? That's her, right? That lady.
So let's have some Mark Harmon and Kirstie Alley stories. What was it like working with them?
Awesome. The day he comes in, I don't remember, you guys remember this, when he comes in this suit and he's going to teach, on his close-up, I ad-libbed, because he was that year, I said, "Oh, look, it's the sexiest man alive." And he made it through the take and then chased me in the parking lot and beat the tar out of me. But that was he chewed tobacco, and I from Oklahoma, so I chewed tobacco, so we would chew Red Man, and because I had quit smoking by the time we started shooting, so yeah.
You hear it a million times that that Mark is like the nicest guy in Hollywood, and I can attest, and I think mostly everyone up here can say that Mark Harmon is probably one of the nicest, most generous guys that I've ever had the pleasure to work with. I saw him 2 weeks ago, and I haven't seen him in quite some time, and it was like I saw him yesterday.